Killers of the Flower Moon هو واحد من أكتر الأفلام اللي اتسلط عليها الأضواء من وقت عرضه في مهرجان كان السينمائي في شهر مايو اللي فات. مش بس بسبب أسماء أبطاله ليوناردو دي كابري وروبرت دينيرو وعدد كبير من نجوم هوليوود وكمان اسم مخرجه مارتن سكورسيزي، لكن كمان عشان قصته.
الفيلم ملحمي بينتمي لنوعية الويسترن ومعتمد على شخصية حقيقية لقاتل متسلسل لمجموعة من السكان الأصليين في الولاية الأمريكية أوكلاهوما بعد ظهور البترول على أراضيهم وحصولهم على ثروات كبيرة. ومن عرضه الأول في لوس أنجلوس هنعرف من مخرجه تفاصيل أكتر عنه.
The point of the picture, in a sense, is that the point of the story, the way we approached it, was not from the outside in, from the Bureau of Investigation in, to come out and find out, who did it. I said from the beginning we know who did it. I said, so the question will be who didn't do it. And if who didn't do it, and if we're living there and we know what's going on, but we don't do anything about it, or we don't behave a certain way, and maybe you can't change sometimes the tidal wave of history, but, do you say something? Are we ourselves capable of a kind of complicity? I think of Europe in the 30s. I think of what's happening today, and I get very, very nervous about it because for young people, we have to keep educating them as to what happened 50 years ago, because it comes back. It comes back in a different form, in a different style, but it comes back. And I think this picture, if they're able to give of themselves, for the picture is substantial length, as I say. If you're able to get there in a theater and look at it and let it just wash over you, and if you're entertained by it too, because I try to make it as entertaining as possible, it might stay with you and not just be, and I like movies you can go and have fun with and have popcorn and just forget about the next day. I enjoy that too. But this could be different, a different experience for everybody. That's all I hope for. The funny thing was that the families we're talking about in the movie, the people acting, the Osage acting in it, they're members of those families. On both sides, Ernest and the others. It's very interesting. And there's a lot that they remembered from their mothers, but by the time, actually the grandfathers and their parents, Margie Burkhart's parents, let's say, they don't want to talk about it. They let it go. They had to relearn the whole Osage language, what they did in the film too. They put it together, and now the younger people of the Osage are they're getting interested in their rituals. That's why we bury the pipe in the beginning, because the power of the pipe will be misused because they won't know how to use it. And so we think that somehow they're going back and finally reconstructing themselves, and maybe as an example for other indigenous groups too.
It took 5 years, it took half a decade to research and write, to find the descendants of both the murderers and the victims who would share with me their stories, and then to find the archival records to bring it to life. I just work in the archives and the records, and now it's so surreal to be here today and have a director and a cast and with all those Osage involved to actually bring it to life and see it on the screen. But that was something I never imagined.
One of Mr. Scorsese's films that I really had a hard time watching, and then I watched it it took me 3 times to get through the film, and it's his film Silence, and just the amount of anguish that film brings and the amount of thought-provoking situations. And I thought about our ancestors going through what they went through. My grandfather, of course, is in David Grant's book. He's Tall Chief, and my great-grandfather, and he died mysteriously at age 30, and he just fell over dead. And we've been told through history that he was going to testify in some of these trials. So we really don't know much more than that. And I just thought about my grandfather at that time and all of his brothers and the fear of what they were going through, not knowing who their enemy was. And it just made me really understand that Mr. Scorsese's questions that he has within burning inside of himself on why do humans choose to make the choices that they make, and what drives them to that, and then what do they do after they make those choices.
اشترك في باقات واتشت الشهرية بتبدأ من 14 جنيه و99 قرش، وباقات سنوية تبدأ من 150 جنيه.